Hello and welcome. Today's topic is health and what is health. I have found that there's a huge discrepancy between what I actually need and what society perceives I need, and I really struggle. LA is a sanctuary city, and yet it's not a sanctuary for its own citizens, and they're really ramping it up. This week, they're starting in this one area with posters of spare or give me real change, not spare change. And quite often, I find what I need is far less costly than what they want to do, what society wants to do. Maybe spare change is enough. Maybe you need to learn to keep it simple. Maybe you need to learn to stop pitting yourself up on the horse by ripping other people down and using them as staircases. And that's what I find a lot. And like with homeless help groups, they're not helpful at all. They're demeaning, they're rude, they're dangerous, physically dangerous. I know one gal refuses to go to any shelter because, according, she's just like, great place to get raped, period. And I've experienced that where they're very dangerous, where I have been threatened with rape. And it's upsetting. You shouldn't have to risk your sexual safety because you want to use a bathroom or go take a shower. And it's not uncommon in shelters to have prison-style showers where it's all open. And in this day and age where men like to pretend to be women, and whether you feel you are or not, at the end of the day, your genes say you're a man. And if you dangle, you should be with other danglers because you're different. And no matter how many times we lie to ourselves, it doesn't change our genes. Men are made to be stronger. Men have more oxygen in them. Men can get women pregnant, because men are like, oh, I can be raped too. And it's like, yeah, but you have a far better chance of fighting the attacker off, and you cannot become pregnant. It will change you, but it will not change you in the essence that it does a woman. And both are very wrong. And I find they're just like the society, and especially homeless groups, they will not meet you where you're at. And they'll advertise, oh, we have these programs, or we're helping the homeless, like, please support us. I went to one in New Mexico. Oh my gosh, Albuquerque was awful. And the men were rough, and the women were 10 times rougher. It was an experience. And when you walked in, they had Jesus everywhere, and it's like, and I just wanted to park my car somewhere because the Walmart had this huge sign that said, this is your warning. If you're found parking here, you'll get 3 months and or $3,000 fine. Oh my gosh, just for sleeping? Like, it's that, like, I'm that offensive that me sleeping involves prison and fines. For real? And when I went there, all the beds were already all full, and I'm like, well, I don't want to sleep in here. I just want to be on the property. Like, I just need a place to park. And then they found out I had a dog, and it's like, well, dogs aren't allowed here. But it was a kicker because I did spend some time on their property, and they had a church, which is like, oh, this is beautiful. People, like, in a time of need, they have God to go to. And when you went further back, the church was all completely sectioned off, locked up. You weren't allowed to even walk near it. There was no Jesus or anything inside the actual shelter, no prayer over the food at all. Very deceptive. And I know even here there's a thing of like, hey, we have storage for the homeless. Well, when you look into it, you can only put your stuff in. It's not like logically you should be able to go there in the morning and drop your stuff off and then go there in the afternoon to pick it up so you can have your blankets and whatever else you need for the night. But that's not the way it works. The way it works, it's only open a couple days a week, and that's if the volunteers show up. And it's only a very small window, and half the time the volunteers don't show up for the entire window. So then these homeless people are waiting for them to show up, and then they're not going to be able to get their stuff for a couple days. It's ludicrous. That's not helpful. what would be helpful would be to act like we're citizens and we're adults and we're humans. And I'm always amazed how people are like, oh my gosh, you're homeless, so you obviously don't have a bladder or bowels, and you obviously don't get dirty and you don't need showers. No, I'm still human. I still need showers. It would still be nice to have a warm shower a couple times a week. And it would be nice to have storage units where you can get in and out whenever you need it, and to get mail whenever you need it, without all this BS of Mother May I. There's a lot of demeaning people. I've been really saddened with how Christians are, because I know the history, and they brought a ton of beauty in the world, and we're not seeing it lived out by current Christians. I recently went to a church, and I was using the bathroom before I went in, and the woman in the bathroom made me feel so incredibly uncomfortable being there, just because I needed to use the bathroom. It was so uncomfortable. And I've gone to churches where it's like, hey, we went, and fed the homeless, or hey, we have a poor box and we're like saving up money for the homeless. And yeah, I'll go there to them and be like, hey, help. And they'll just be like, whatever. And it's like, here, jump 10,000 hoops and we just may help you. But we're going to go down here and just help these people just cause. And I find they don't really want to help people who are present in their life, especially with chronic issues. And they really just want to like throw a little bit of money your way and never see you again. And that's not reality. Some people have heavy crosses. Some people have a lot of crosses. And and the pistol is, some people have been dumbasses and have brought on a lot of shit themselves, and they're living their consequences. But I've met a lot of people who live reckless lives, and yet God keeps blessing them. And then you have a person like me who's lived a very clean life, and I just have one thing after another happening to me, and they're chronic things. And as doctors have said, a war has happened in my body, and it's healed what it can, and there's only so much it can do, and it just is what it is. I'm not going to get better. So I'm in a very chronic situation, and it's frustrating. And because no one wants to help or deal with a chronic situation, because you're supposed to get better and move along. And when you don't do that, it's seen as very offensive. And it's very frustrating. Being in LA, it's a sanctuary city, and this nation is becoming a sanctuary city for Islam, and how this nation is embracing illegals who habitually disrespect our land and our system and our economics and all of our stuff. And to embrace Islam, which commands its followers to lie to others until they get enough power to overtake them, who treat women with it's just disgusting and alarming how they treat women. But everyone should know about Islam. And, what is it? The Politically Incorrect. There's some really good books out there. And I've read more than books. I know people who come from Islamic nations. There's not a single person that hasn't had a friend, family, church member murdered, who has not had a gun put to their head. It's an alarming way of life. And the fact that this nation is always going on about diversity and tolerance, and you embrace enemies, you embrace foreigners who have no respect for us, and yet your very own citizen, your fellow citizen, you leave to hang, and you're very disrespectful to. And it's frustrating, and it's very sad. It's really sad when you're in your own nation and yet you're seen as a foreigner, you're seen as the problem, you're seen as an enemy. And it's not okay. And I'll talk about that in another video of how people react. But there's a lot of things to be done, and a lot of the solutions, you really need to keep the idea of keep it simple. A lot of the solutions for homelessness are a lot smaller than you think they are. But it also entails allowing a person to live in a way that you might not necessarily like. I don't want to be in a house right now. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for a lot of people. And as long as I'm not coming into your house or camping out in your front yard, give me an ounce of respect. Live what you preach. Embrace diversity. Embrace tolerance. Okay. Well, I hope you're all having a good day. God bless.